There's the highest concentration of them in London, so there's over 600 clubs in London, but we also have clubs in Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales and the north of England, all over the UK. So how does Code Club work? This diagram explains everything nicely. So you need to have a volunteer and a venue. So a venue can be, they tend to be primary schools and libraries and community centres. So what happens is a venue will register as a school, library or community centre will register as a Code Club venue, and a member of staff from that venue can run the club themselves. They can choose to run the club. They can also choose to find a volunteer who is registered with Code Club as a volunteer in their local area. So you can run it in any school, any library, and the reason which schools and libraries work well is that they are public buildings with IT facilities that are safe for children to attend and after school clubbing. And then once the venue is registered, they can, using their postcode, search for, if you were to register to become a Code Club volunteer, the school down the end of your road might see that you have registered, and then they can send you an email via our website to ask if you are interested in volunteering. Likewise, the volunteer can search using their postcode for any schools and libraries that are registered nearby, and they can email via our website and say that they're interested in volunteering at the school. And we also encourage volunteers, if there are no schools or libraries nearby that are registered, we encourage volunteers to go and approach their local school and library and suggest that they register as a Code Club venue and tell them they want to volunteer there. So, once you have a volunteer and a venue, your club then becomes active and you can access all of the Code Club projects. So we have enough projects to run. Typically, clubs are once a week for an hour a week during the school term, and they, with the projects, we have enough projects to run that weekly session and run a different project every week for a full academic year. And then in terms of children, it tends to be typically 10 to 15 children, and that depends on the IT facilities. So the reason it's usually 10 to 15 is that's how many computers the schools tend to have, and there's a manageable number. But there are some clubs which are much bigger than that. They just demand more IT facilities and more volunteers. So that, in a nutshell, is how Code Club works. So like I said, 1 hour, once a week, 10 to 15 children, and it needs to be in a venue that has computers and laptops available. In terms of safeguarding and child protection, volunteers will be asked to apply for a DBS check, so a criminal records check, and then the venues need to have appropriate safeguarding policies and public liability insurance in place, and then they check the DBS checks of any volunteers who are going in to help run that club. So what's a Code Club like? So as I said, it might be for an hour a week, where children come along and they will work through one of our projects. We want this to be a collaborative, it is a collaborative way of learning, so it's fun, it's engaging. There's a teacher, volunteers, librarians, and children all working together to learn about coding, and also to get input from the children about what they're interested in learning. And one really important thing about Code Club, it is part of the UK national curriculum now, but Code Club is an extracurricular after-school activity, and as such, it's not something which the children are going to be tested on. It's supposed to be a fun after-school activity that's going to engage them from an early age and inspire them to learn more about coding and to be digitally literate. And part of the reason we want to do this is not just, obviously this opens up the career opportunities for children who are learning about this from an early age, but also it's important for all of us now, regardless of what job we do, to understand how computers work and how to tell computers what we want them to do. So it's about increasing digital literacy for everyday life. This is what our projects look like. So you can see we have step-by-step instructions. So these are all available online, and when the club leader comes to deliver this in an after-school club, they can show it to children on a projector, as we're doing here, or they can print them out or give them, or they can just have it on a different window on their screen, so that they can work through step-by-step the different stages involved in creating, mainly to begin with, animations and computer games, and they're quite fun and visually engaging. We have 3 coding languages. So the cat logo that you can see there is a program called Scratch, which is very popular in primary schools now. So a lot of primary schools are using this, and the children might be learning different things in class to do with Scratch. But the Code Club has a set of resources, which is what most of the clubs start off using. And then once the children are confident with that, they can move on to HTML and CSS and to Python. So we've got 3 coding languages. We've got 12 projects in each of those languages at the moment, but we're constantly updating those projects and making sure that the content of those is good. And also we're adding to the number of projects. So we're hoping to introduce more Scratch projects and to introduce other coding languages as Code Club develops. Scratch, I don't know if any of you have children, you may be familiar with Scratch and you may have seen them playing with Scratch. It was developed about 10 years ago by Massachusetts Institute of Technology as a coding language for children to learn basic steps about coding. And this is what the Scratch website looks like. So on the side of the cat, you can do various characters and backgrounds and show them how to move around. So one of the first projects is animating a spaceship, so it flies towards Earth, and then it gets gradually more complicated until by the end you're creating whole games where characters are jumping over balls and trying not to fall down trapdoors. And then on the other side of the screen you can see when this sprite clicked, say hello for 2 seconds. That's where you build up the instructions, that's what the code looks like. And important thing about Scratch in terms of if you're introducing it to a 9-year-old, or there are children as young as 6 or 7 years old who go to Code Club, is that it doesn't involve inputting much text. You drag these blocks together, they stick together, it's very quick and easy to use. A bit like Lego, but a digital version of Lego. Can you hear me? How do volunteers and venues register? They register on the Code Club website, and they then connect with a venue or a volunteer, depending on whether they are a venue or a volunteer. Once everything's been confirmed and they've completed all of the steps on the Code Club website, the club becomes active. They're given a club ID and PIN, which means that they can access all of the resources for free. In terms of support, how does Code Club support the clubs? We run meetups and training events. So I run regular meetups and training events here in London, which anyone can come along to who's interested in learning more about Code Club. We have regional coordinators, so I cover London and East of England, but I've got colleagues in all the different parts of the UK, South West, South East, Wales, Northern Ireland. We have a volunteer guidebook, we hold monthly Twitter chats, and we have star clubs. So the nearest one to here, there's a primary school in Mile End, where you can go along on Friday afternoon and visit the Code Club there to see it running, to get an idea about how Code Clubs work. So if you're a teacher or a volunteer who's interested in starting a Code Club, you can see one firsthand and see how it works. So how does Code Club help with digital literacy? There was a new study published by the Nuffield Foundation last week, which said that Code Clubs, the after-school clubs, so this was not just talking about Code Clubs, but it was talking about music, sport, anything which children do after school, said they're an easy vehicle for enrichment. And they said that 1 day per week, children had a 1.7 point higher than actual Key Stage 2 score predicted on their attainment circumstances while those who attended our school clubs 2 days per week had an average 3-point higher actual total point score than predicted. So you can see from that attending after school clubs such as this definitely helps to increase children's attainment overall. And also another thing which this study went on to say is that in areas such as music and sport, often after school clubs are paid for, which excludes a lot of children. One of the things which we want to make sure we do at Co-Club is that all of these resources are available for free. So it doesn't cost the school anything to set Co-Club up. The extra support in terms of adults being present is provided by volunteers who are volunteering their own time, and it doesn't cost children anything to attend the Co-Club, and all the resources are made available for free. So, like the previous speaker was saying, with the Ottoman Empire, the importance of free education, this is a principle which Co-Club is based on. We think it's very important that children have these opportunities to improve their digital literacy in a free and engaging environment. So here is a picture of children at Co-Club having a lot of fun learning about coding, and that is everything that I wanted to say. So I've gone through that quite quickly because it's the end of the day, and that's everything I want to say. I'll be here for a few minutes afterwards if you want to come along, come over and speak to me and ask me any questions about Co-Club. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we've come to the end of our first day. Tomorrow we are looking forward to many more speakers. There's at least 6 on tomorrow, and we hope that you come. We've got the power of the Arabic language, exploring Singapore maths, current issues